Last month, in a small boutique just off the Place du Bourg de Four in Geneva, a dealer I respect showed me a Patek Philippe Calatrava and told me something I have not been able to stop thinking about. We had been talking about brand fragility, about the Rolex pre-owned correction, about what is happening to Daytona premiums on the gray market, about whether the whole sport watch hype cycle had quietly started eating itself. And then, very calmly, he told me he was not worried about Patek Philippe. In his telling, Patek was the only brand in his case he was certain would still exist, unchanged, in 50 years. The way he said it was the way someone might say the Alps will still be there. I did not argue, but I started counting. What I started counting was the number of things that have to remain true for Patek to remain Patek. Not the brand, not the watches, not the heritage. Those are durable. What I mean is the company, the independent, family-owned, family-led structure that the brand's entire value proposition is built on. The holy trinity of fine watchmaking is the standard shorthand for the top three Swiss houses: Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin. The youngest of the three, Patek, was founded in 1839. The oldest, Vacheron Constantin, in 1755. All three are positioned to the customer as the apex of horological tradition, as heritage that has not been sliced up and absorbed into a quarterly earnings report. Each of them carries the Geneva Seal, the independent quality certification that sits above COSC standards and signals a level of manufacture finishing that the conglomerates LVMH, Richemont, and Swatch Group, with its stable of Omega, Breguet, and Blancpain, have never been able to fully replicate as a cultural claim, even when their technical standards match. Of those three, only one is still operated the way the brand identity claims. Vacheron Constantin was acquired by the Richemont Group in 1996. It has been a corporate subsidiary for 30 years. The watches are still beautiful. The chairman reports to a board. Audemars Piguet, the brand behind the Royal Oak, Gerald Genta's 1972 steel sports watch that rewrote the entire category, held out longer. The Audemars and Piguet families still own the company. But in January of 2024, day-to-day leadership transferred from François-Henri Benamias, who had run the brand for nearly 30 years, to Ilaria Resta. Resta's previous job was president of global perfumery and ingredients at Firmenich. Before that, she spent more than 2 decades at Procter Gamble, managing categories on the consumer goods side of the business. A consumer goods executive from a fragrance and ingredients background now runs Audemars Piguet. That isn't the dystopian punchline, that's the press release. Patek Philippe is the only one of the three still both family-owned and family-led at the top. That family-led part is where the structure gets thinner than most collectors realize. Patek is run by Thierry Stern. He was born in July 1970. He is 55 years old. He became president in 2009. He took over from his father, Philippe Stern, who had steered the company through the quartz crisis and the modern renaissance of mechanical watchmaking. Philippe in turn took over from his father Henri, and Henri had taken over from his father Charles. The Stern family has held the company since 1932, when the brothers Charles and Jean Stern, then suppliers of dials to a struggling Patek Philippe, bought it out of the wreckage of the 1929 crash. Thierry isn't a figurehead. He personally signs off on the final acoustic validation of every minute repeater Patek produces, meaning that the highest complication watches in the brand's catalog do not leave the manufacturer until one specific man has approved how they sound. That catalog includes the Grandmaster Chime, which holds the title of the most complicated wristwatch ever made, a watch that exists in part as a proof of what in-house manufacture capability actually means when it is not answering to a quarterly report. At the 2023 Watches and Wonders Fair in Geneva, Thierry was asked directly whether selling Patek to LVMH or to Richemont would ever be on the table. His response on the record was that doing so would kill the brand, not weaken it, not dilute it, kill it. He is right. And he is 55. What happens after Thierry is, in the precise legal sense, a hope. Thierry has two sons. In 2023, speaking to Spears magazine, he said his sons were 19 and 20 years old. That makes them roughly 22 and 23 now. Neither has been publicly confirmed in a senior operational role at the company. Asked whether his sons would join the business, Thierry's answer was specific. He said this, "I never pushed them. I chose to go to Patek Philippe. My father never pushed me, and it is the same for them. I will never oblige them." A decade earlier, in 2014, in a case study published by the IMD Business School in Lausanne, Thierry made the same point about his then 10 and 11-year-old children. He did not want to expose them to the business too early. He wanted their decision to come from them. This is the Patek succession plan in full. The two heirs to the world's most prestigious independent watchmaking company will, at some unspecified future moment, be invited to consider whether they would like to run it. If both decline, there is no public alternative on the record. There is no named non-family successor in waiting. There is no holding company with diversified family interests buffering the decision. There is one chair, and the only people impaneled to fill it are two young men whose father has explicitly told the press he will not pressure them to take the job. This is what kept me up after the conversation in Geneva. Anyone who has been told, or who has been telling other people, that Patek Philippe is the safe luxury watch, the one immune to the consolidations and pivots that have hollowed out so much of the industry around it, is making a category error. What you are buying when you buy a Patek is not a structural guarantee of independence. There is no trust, no foundation, no irrevocable charter protecting the brand from sale. What you are buying is the continued willingness of a 55-year-old man, and after him his children, to keep saying no to the largest checkbooks in the luxury sector. And those checkbooks are, on the record, already opened. In June of 2025, the luxury industry trade publication Miss Tweed reported, citing internal sourcing inside LVMH, that Chopard and Patek Philippe were, quote, high up on the wish list of LVMH chief executive and controlling shareholder Bernard Arnault, end quote. The reasoning is structural. The existing LVMH watch portfolio is Tag Heuer, Zenith, Bvlgari, and Hublot. None of those are grand-complication houses. None of them can compete on prestige with what Richemont already owns through Vacheron Constantin and through A. Lange and Sony. To close that gap, LVMH needs a manufacturer, and the manufacturer it needs most is Patek. Arnault has a track record on this. In 2010, LVMH quietly accumulated a 20.2% stake in Hermès, building the position through derivatives that did not require disclosure until the threshold was crossed. It took the Hermès family years and a public legal fight to force the stake to unwind. Patek does not have that exposure. Patek is privately held, with no shares trading on any open market. That sounds like a stronger defense, and it is, until the moment it is not. The inverse is also true. Patek can only be acquired in one way, and that is a complete sale. There is no minority position, no partial dilution, no compromise structure. When a private company with no public stock is sold, it is sold whole. The dealer in Geneva was not wrong about the watches. The watches will keep being made. Even if Patek changes hands, the Calatrava in his case will keep telling time. The dial work will be excellent for another generation at least. The brand identity is durable in a way that the company structure is not. But the thing he was actually saying, that Patek is unchanged, unchangeable, the Alps of the watch world, rests on a load-bearing assumption that no longer matches the data. Vacheron is corporate. Audemars Piguet is family-owned and consumer goods-led. Patek is one man, two sons who have not yet decided, and one of the most aggressive luxury acquirers in history standing patiently at the door. The ALPS do not need anyone to keep saying yes. Patek does.